Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so that you know when live we go. Hello and welcome to today's DNS session. We are going to have a discussion on today's newspaper, The Hindu, Delhi edition dated 26 June 2021. We shall take up articles important for civil service examination and discuss them as per the demand of the exam. The articles that we have picked up for discussion are there on your screen, and the timestamping for the same is there in the description section. This is a lead article from page number 6. Prepare the ground for a Naya J&K. And a related article is the editorial article, Future State. In this article, the author presents an alternate viewpoint than what was presented in the DNS of 24 June 2021, day before yesterday. Here, the lead article, The Kashmir Outreach and the Afghan Storm. This was discussed by Mangal sir. According to this article, the reason for a change in the Jammu and Kashmir policy of the central government is the changing regional geopolitics, which is precipitated by impending US pullout from Afghanistan. Just to refresh your memory a little bit, that article of day before yesterday gave certain reason as to why the change in the government policy regarding Jammu and Kashmir is the result of changing regional geostrategy. The author said that the objective of abrogation of the Article 370 and the reorganization of the state of Jammu and Kashmir into Union territory, as is stated in the parliament, were these. First of all, ending terrorism and violence in Jammu and Kashmir. No doubt that the incidence of terrorism and violence has come down in the Union territory of J&K, but this has come down at a huge cost. Around 5,000 people have been house arrested, and Jammu and Kashmir saw the longest internet shutdown of 213 days in any democracy. Other reasons were flooding the region with development activities and investment from other parts of the country. And according to government, 400 MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, has been signed with various businesses and companies all over the world, but things have not taken off in this area, and the success of developmental activities can be judged only when and if investment starts coming in. There was a question in the mains examination of 2016: justify the need for FDI for the development of Indian economy. Why there is gap between MOUs signed and actual FDIs? Suggest remedial steps. So MOUs signed means nothing unless the money comes in. And unless the money has came in, you cannot consider MOUs as success in this area. Another stated objective was to reclaim those parts of the territory which now has been occupied by Pakistan and China, the POK and Askai Chin region. Regarding Askai Chin, the confrontation with Chinese have been continuing to this date, and we have not advanced in reclaiming the territory of the POK region. Any attempt in this will also not be supported by US, given that they are already pulling out from the region from Afghanistan. The other objective stated was to end the rule of political dynasties in J&K. But the thing is, negotiation re-engagement is happening with very leaders who have been house arrested and the very leaders who have been part of political dynasties. It was also stated that the matter of Jammu and Kashmir is an internal matter of India. But after abrogation of Article 370, the matter has been discussed in the Parliament of UK, it has been discussed in US, it has been discussed in Nordic nations, it also has been discussed at length in United Nations Security Council. So as such, this stand of India has not been supported or respected by various countries and UN. So the parameters laid down in the Parliament does not seem to be conclusively concluded. Then why reversing the wheel? This article said it is because of the changing geopolitical scenario. But the lead article that has appeared today in the newspaper gives an alternative viewpoint that it is not happening because of changing regional geopolitics, but it is happening from a position of a strength of central government. The author in the article claims that the government's policy since insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir that started in late 1980s and continued reached to its peak in 1990s, it has never been influenced by external calculation. Even in mid-1990s, when India was confronted by full-blown insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir Valley, India did not succumb or get influenced by external calculations. By then, India's strongest all-weather ally, Soviet Union, had collapsed. And the United States Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia and Central Asia openly questioned Jammu and Kashmir's accession to India. This was the time when external pressure was most on India. But Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao then refused to concede ground in any substantial measure. So the argument is the present government is even stronger than Narasimha Rao's government and has brute majority. So there is no question of coming under any duress or pressure by external agencies, external actors. The author do concede that although the takeover of Afghanistan by Taliban presents a difficult situation in the region, but it does not necessarily mean that it will impact Kashmir in any major way. The author also says that the improvement in the behavior of Pakistan is also not the result of any external pressure or the nudge given by UAE and Qatar. You must be aware that UAE's diplomatic channel all over the world is extremely strong, extremely strong. UAE has been trying to broker peace between India and Pakistan for quite some time. It is a knowledge in public domain. UAE and Qatar also have successfully brought Saudi Arabia on board to have a peace deal with Israel. Triumph with that success, UAE and Qatar has been trying hard to broker a peace deal between India and Pakistan. But the author suggests that this nudge coming from UAE and Qatar is not causing the change in the stance of Pakistan, but it is internal fault line that exists within Pakistan military establishment and civil military tussle. It is the civilian government of Pakistan that is not trying to call the shot. To have an upper edge over military, it is improving its stance, and there is also a pressure from FATF vis-a-vis controlling violence and terrorist financing. That is the reason for changed Pakistan's stance. An external invisible hand is not at work. The author goes on to explain that the present outreach is because of a window of opportunity which the central government see from a position of almost absolute strength. Why? Because terrorism and violence are at its low. Popular protests have come down. The leaders, after a long time of house arrest, have gained fatigue. And this is the time where you can persuade them. Bring them on board, make them sit across a table and talk to them. This is a position of almost absolute strength that the central government has gained. The author suggests that the central government has employed the entire spectrum of Kautilyan policies of Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, which translated into English loosely translate like persuade, purchase, punish, and exploit the weakness. Central government, trying all four legs of the Kautilyan policy, has now come to create this new space and gain the position of strength. But even from that position of strength, the government understands that without a healthy federal structure, Naya Jammu Kashmir cannot be created. There's one technical reason for this that Supreme Court has admitted but has not heard the cases on legitimacy of the dilution of Article 370. We also have seen earlier that because of house arrest of thousands of leaders and people and because of the longest internet shutdown, the situation there is not amenable to development initiatives or investments. So it was realized that local connect is important and strong arm tactics is not going to work for a long time. So the long and short of it is this. Why government is changing its policy on Jammu and Kashmir? Because it has gained the position of strength. And from this position of strength, they want to negotiate and create a strong federal structure that will help in development initiative that was the ultimate aim of abrogating Article 370. This is a lead article from page number 6, Relevant Advice for Health Caregivers and Mothers-to-be. This is a lead article regarding health care of pregnant women and the neonatal. This is a lead article from page number 6, Relevant Advice, and the authors rightly have pointed out that the demographic dividend of India is largely dependent on high birth rate. The birth rate in India is roughly 72,000 per day. But given the long gestation period of around 9 months and the pregnancy losses, the number of pregnant women on any given day would be much larger than this. The issue of demographic dividend is very important. UPSC has asked question on demographic dividend multiple times. They asked it in 2014. They have asked a direct question on demographic dividend again in 2016. And they have asked several times questions related with demographic dividend. So the topic is important for the mains exam. The related topic of healthcare of mothers to be, healthcare of pregnant women, that obviously also becomes important. The authors are gynecologists, they are senior consultant gynecologists, and they have identified that during the time of COVID 19, the problem faced by pregnant women and neonatal becomes multifold. They have identified that according to recent reports from various states of India, there are serious medical complications in pregnant women who got infected by SARS CoV 2. There are problems of fetus growth restriction because of placental insufficiency in the mother. The cases of stillbirth neonatal infections have increased, and there would of course be problem of respiratory distress in the mother. The article has pointed out that according to some publication recently in the Journal of the American Medical Association, maternal mortality is several fold higher in COVID 19 positive pregnant mothers compared to non COVID 19 pregnant women. And also, of all the COVID 19 deaths in the pediatric age group from 0 to 18 years, neonatal deaths are the most common. Death of the recently born child is most common in the age group of 0 to 18 years. Further, as is the case in general with COVID 19, when the patient is diabetic or obese, the toll of the disease is higher. But obesity and diabetes is very common in pregnancy, especially among pregnant women in India. So, to control the threat to the pregnant woman and the neonatal, there are certain steps suggested in the article. The first advice is to postpone pregnancy until the time both partners are vaccinated. And to postpone pregnancy, temporary and reversible contraceptions, they can come very handy. In US and other European countries, vaccination have been given preferentially to the pregnant women. Such practice must also be adopted in India. With advancement in telemedicine, there must be reduction in the number of antenatal visits, visit of pregnant women before the birth of the child. Because online consultation now can be facilitated easily with the expansion of the program of Digital India. Then certain protocols for ultrasonography must be followed, like dedicated and safe ultrasound scan centers for pregnant women, exclusively manned by immunized personnels. The gynecologist writing the article also suggests that the pregnant women with fever should be considered to have COVID 19 unless proven otherwise. Presently, even when there are dedicated facilities for pregnant women at healthcare centers, all pregnant women are treated equally. But that increases the risk of the pregnant mother not infected yet. Also, vaccine hesitancy is most likely to be higher among pregnant women. And this concern must be specially dealt by disseminating correct information. The author discusses one important thing that you must know from the perspective of science and technology. The article has pointed out that the health authorities in United Kingdom and United States have realized the benefits and the safety of vaccinating pregnant women and have approved vaccination for all pregnant women with mRNA vaccines. mRNA vaccine does not have any antigen material. It just has a part of the RNA designed in the lab of the concerned virus. mRNA vaccine is also the type of vaccine which has been developed for the very first time for SARS CoV 2, for COVID 19 pandemic. It has been found that mRNA vaccines produce good immune response. Why? Because the maternal antibodies, they can cross the placenta and enter the fetus. Naturally, the antibodies from the mother goes to the child. When you have studied these antibody therapies like fluorescent plasma therapy or other therapy, you must have been taught that antibodies naturally go from the mother to the child and they can cross the placenta and enter the fetus, thus conferring protection against maternal to fetal transmission of the virus. So the benefit of vaccinating the mother far outweighs the risk. And this benefit has been seen and studied most closely in case of mRNA vaccine. In India, we do not have mRNA vaccine, but we have two very popular vaccines, Covishield and Covaxin. Covishield is a vectored vaccine. It has been observed that there are certain problems with vectored vaccine concerning thrombosis. During pregnancy and immediately after pregnancy in the postpartum period, the mother is in prothrombic state, meaning the state that favors the formation of blood clots in the vein. The vectored vaccine like Covishield has been found to be associated with rare but serious side effect pertaining to thrombosis of veins which are draining the critical areas such as brain and some organs in the abdomen. Meaning the vectored vaccine, they are promoting the state of thrombosis. Although it is not very common, it is rare, but when it happens, it is very serious. But such kind of rare but serious side effect has not been observed in the other very popular vaccine, Covaxin. Covaxin is not a vectored vaccine. It is inactivated virus vaccine. Covishield and Sputnik, these are vectored vaccines. What's the difference? The difference is in the way that they are prepared. Covaxin is inactivated viral vaccine, meaning the whole virus is there, although it is in inactivated state, so it cannot cause the disease, but it can teach the immune system to develop immune response. The entire virus is there in inactivated viral vaccine, and Covaxin is an inactivated viral vaccine. They are one of the most common type of conventional vaccines. They have been used for many diseases, like they are very commonly used for seasonal influenza. They are used for rabies, polio, pertussis, Japanese encephalitis. But Covishield and Sputnik, they are not inactivated viral vaccine. They use viral vector platform, meaning they use another virus. For example, in case of Covishield, they have used chimpanzee adenovirus. Adenovirus is one of the very common virus that causes us cold and cough. But this chimpanzee adenovirus does not harm human beings. This adenovirus has been modified to enable it to carry the COVID 19 spike protein. So the SARS CoV 2 virus has not been put in inactivated state into the vaccine. Only the spike protein has been used. But the way to inject spike protein into the human body is to put it into another virus. And that virus is chimpanzee adenovirus. This technology of viral vector platform has been very intensively used, and exact the same thing as is being used for Covishield or Sputnik has been used in vaccination against Ebola. But since Covaxin has been indigenously made and the availability is large, pregnant women must preferentially be vaccinated, and that preferentially must be preferentially by Covaxin. There is an article on page number 8. IAC, Indian aircraft carrier, will be commissioned next year, says the defense minister. The first indigenous aircraft carrier, which there is an article on page will be commissioned into Indian Navy next year, the year coinciding with 75th year of India's independence. INS Vikrant is nearly 75% indigenously built. It is 262 meters long and 62 meters wide. It will be able to launch around 30 aircrafts, comprising 20 fighter jets and 10 helicopters. As you can see, it will have 2 runways and a landing strip. Previously, India was operating INS Virat, but that was decommissioned in 2017. And presently, India is only operating one aircraft carrier, INS Vikramaditya. INS Vikramaditya was procured from Russia and later it was rebuilt, reformed by India. So, since India is operating just one aircraft, we are in dire need of a second one because we need at least 2 aircraft carriers to be deployed on the western and the eastern seaboards. That way, India can tackle both China and Pakistan simultaneously. India also has a plan to develop a third aircraft carrier that would be named as INS Vishal by 2030. India has a geographical advantage of geographical proximity to Indian Ocean. Indian aircraft carriers will obviously have better access to bases and support facilities in Indian Ocean compared to China or US. The presence of these aircraft carriers will display the prowess, the power of Indian Navy, enabling India to act as net security provider in the Indian Ocean. Presently, the aircraft carriers uses aircraft MiG 29Ks, but MiG 29Ks they are scheduled to go out of service by 2034. So Navy is now getting into contract with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to build twin engine carrier aircraft by 2032. Carrier aircraft or carrier based aircraft, as the name suggests, these are the aircrafts that are to be launched from aircraft carrier. The present aircraft carrier of India is INS Vikramaditya. The one planned to be inducted in Navy next year is INS Vikrant. But when we will have two aircraft carriers operating simultaneously, our aircrafts will run short in numbers. Presently, we have 45 Russian MiG 29K. But as we saw in the beginning, the aircraft carrier INS Vikrant can carry around 30 aircrafts. So, two aircraft carriers can carry roughly around 60 aircrafts. And we are planning for the third one, INS Vishal, by 2030. So Navy is already looking for a global tender for 57 carrier-based twin-engine fighter aircraft. Carrier-based aircraft are a little special because they have to be launched with short runway running. The runways on the aircraft carriers would be of limited length, so they have to be launched quickly and they must also be sturdy in order to sustain the turbulent force while launching and landing. By the way, do you know the number of aircraft carrier that China is presently operating and the number they want to achieve by 2030? Now sit back, be attentive, and take the speed test. Try to be ahead of me. Before I spell out the answer, you must figure out the answer yourself. The questions are only from within what we have studied in last 20 minutes. So it's not too much of a thing to recollect. You must try to get full marks. Question number 1, Afghanistan borders with India. This is absolutely correct statement. If you look in the map, Afghanistan does border with India in a small region of few kilometers, but this region is presently occupied by Pakistan. So the fear is once US exit from Afghanistan, then infiltration can increase in India from Afghanistan through POK. Second statement, PV Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of India when the disintegration of Soviet Union began. This is an incorrect statement. Disintegration of Soviet Union began in 1988 and finally it completed towards the end of December of 1991. PV Narasimha Rao became Prime Minister of India in June 1991. So he was the Prime Minister of India when disintegration finally came to its conclusion. But he was not the Prime Minister of India when the disintegration began. The third statement is vectored vaccines use the entire virus in inactivated state. This is an incorrect statement. The kind of vaccine that uses the entire virus in inactivated state is called as inactivated vaccine or inactivated virus vaccine. Vectored vaccines are those that uses a vector, a live virus, to carry some part of the virus you require to develop vaccine of, to carry that part of the virus into human body. So you're sending an antigen through live virus into the body, but through a virus that is not harmful to human beings. Covishield is a kind of vectored vaccine, so is Sputnik. So was the vaccine developed for Ebola. The third statement is if a pregnant woman is vaccinated against SARS-CoV-2, then the child will get antibodies against the virus, against SARS-CoV-2 virus. This is a correct statement. Naturally, the antibodies from the mother get into the fetus through placenta. So the antibodies that are developed through vaccination will also obviously go into the fetus and will provide protection against COVID-19. The fifth statement is this. Inactivated virus vaccine are used for rabies, polio, and AIDS. Well, inactivated virus vaccine is used for rabies, it's used for polio, it's also used for Japanese encephalitis, and it's a kind of vaccine which is covaxin. But inactivated virus vaccine is not used for AIDS. Tell me which kind of vaccine is used for AIDS and why? This is an incorrect statement. Viral vector platform are used for Ebola vaccine. Yes, viral vector platform are actually used for making vectored vaccine. And Ebola vaccine is kind of vectored vaccine. So this is correct. mRNA vaccine has the lab synthesized RNA of the virus and it does not have any antigen. They produce the entire virus in the body to teach the immune system the immune response. Well, mRNA vaccine actually has a part of RNA of the virus, and this RNA produces only part of the body of the virus, not the entire virus. That is why it is safe. The mRNA vaccine that has been developed for coronavirus only develops the spike protein of the virus, not the entire virus. So this statement is incorrect. INS Vikramaditya is the only aircraft carrier in the Indian Navy presently, and this was built by Cochin Shipyard. It is correct so far that this is the only aircraft carrier operated by Indian Navy currently. But this was not developed by Cochin Shipyard, this was procured from Russia, although it was refurbished by India. So incorrect. The enhanced range version of Pinaka rocket system can destroy target at distance of up to 450 kilometers. There is a news on page number 9. DRDO tests enhanced ranged Pinaka rocket, and the target can be at a distance of 45 kilometers. 450 given here is an exaggerated number, obviously incorrect statement. Tell me, how much did you get in the test? The answer to yesterday's question of the day and today's question of the day are there on your screen. Please attempt these questions, mark your answer in the comment section, and also try to attempt the DNS quiz on the ELEARN platform. Goodbye, take care.